Okay, this is a supplemental video for your textbook. Here I'm going to talk about consumer surplus, producer surplus, and deadweight loss. So I'm going to give you a couple of definitions that I think really clarify this and make it easier when you're looking at a graph. And hopefully this will help you understand these concepts more than just from what the book gives you. So first, for consumer surplus, if we're trying to find consumer surplus on a graph, what we are looking for is the area below demand above the market price and to the left of quantity. Now, when I say both price and quantity, I'm talking about the relevant price and quantity. So this is the price that goods are being sold at and the quantity that is being purchased and sold in this market. Okay, so this is the relevant price and quantity. Now, this definition for producer surplus is similar. Here we're looking for the area that is above the supply curve, below the price, and this last part is exactly the same to the left of quantity. Okay, and again, these are those relevant price and quantity, and that's how we're going to find consumer surplus and producer surplus. So now let me go ahead and show you a graph, and I can illustrate these areas for you and also show you what happens when we have a shift in the supply curve. So if we start off, and for all of these problems, I find that it's much easier if you try and draw out these concepts. So that's what I'm going to do in these supplement videos that I give you. So we have our price and quantity axes, and then there's our supply curve. Here's our demand curve. Now I'm going to label these supply 1 and demand 1 because I am going to show you a shift, and this will hopefully make it a little bit more clear as we go along. To find our equilibrium, you know equilibrium is where the supply and demand curve cross, so where they intersect. And from our equilibrium, we can get our equilibrium quantity and equilibrium price. Now for me, you'll notice that I use a star to mark the equilibrium price and quantity. You don't have to do it this way, I just find it easier. So when you see that, that's what those points mean. Okay, so from this graph, we want to find consumer surplus, producer surplus, deadweight loss. And I'm just denoting this. This is when we're looking at demand curve 1 and supply curve 1. Okay, so consumer surplus, we said, is the area below demand, above price, and to the left of market quantity. Well, here's our market quantity. This triangle that we have marked, everything is to the left of market quantity. In this case, that last part of the definition doesn't really do anything for us. It doesn't matter. So consumer surplus in this graph is this orange area. Okay? And that's strictly following the definition. Let's do the same thing for producer surplus. So that definition that I gave you a moment ago. Producer surplus is everything above the supply curve, below market price, and to the left of quantity. Again, this whole triangle is to the left of quantity, so that last part of the definition doesn't really matter. And there's our producer surplus. Okay. Now, what is our deadweight loss area? Here, we actually have no deadweight loss. The market is in equilibrium. Deadweight loss only happens if we're somewhere below this quantity. If we're below market equilibrium quantity, then we're going to end up with this deadweight loss, this surplus that no one gets. So producer surplus you can think of as kind of the profit for the firm. The supply curve shows us the cost at every quantity. And we know that the firm is able to sell these goods at this price. So this difference is the money that they're making for each unit. You can think of it that way. Consumer surplus is a similar idea, except instead of profit, this is the difference between someone's willingness to pay and what they actually have to pay. So if this was the market for t-shirts, you value a t-shirt at $10, you only have to pay $8, you're getting consumer surplus of $2 each.